Okay, hello, welcome to our brief detour for the week from our usually scheduled production, where we have been pulled into a dark, worrisome universe.
Mm,
The Zack Snyder universe of DC Comics.
mm.
And we are going to be reviewing, or discussing at least, because we don't really do reviews, the Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yep.
That came out, by the time you're watching this, 2 weeks ago.
Roughly. Yeah. We might break with our uploading schedule to get this up a touch early. But we shall see.
So,
Um,
obviously, lots of behind the scenes
should we?
drama around this that we are
Mm,
going to probably avoid talking about to focus on the film, judge it on its own as a whole.
yeah. I mean, I think we can't help but make comparisons to the theatrical cut
Oh, I think you can make
as well.
comparisons to a
Uh,
theatrical cut. I think that's a given, but I think it
mm,
can be done without necessarily discussing the entire hoo-ha, as in.
yeah. I mean, I think the thing, like behind the scenes itself, there's still quite a lot of speculation as to what exactly happened.
Yeah.
So we'll try and stay away from that. I think neither of us are happy the way that this particular cut came about. I
I
think there was a lot
actually.
of
Oh, as in. Yes,
negative,
sorry, yeah.
as in the
The
online bullying.
pressure, yes.
Yeah, the pressure. There's been a huge sense of um, hypocritical nature, I think, with a lot of fandom regarding this. People, the same people who were up in arms because the likes of Kelly Marie Tran got pushed off the internet for the bullying that she received from some members of the same community that pushed for this film or this cut to get its release. I'm not saying everyone, obviously, that would be tarring everyone with the same brush, but I think it was, yeah, I think this is. I
Yes.
wasn't terribly happy the way this came around, at least. So I think for Zack Snyder, who obviously, sadly did have a family tragedy, which was one of the reasons that he left the production in the first place. Like, fair enough to him. He got to finish the film that he wanted to make, which for one reason or another he didn't get to do the first time round. I just wish that was the reason. I wish that was just a poor man had a tragedy, and Warner have gone, yeah, okay, let's
Yeah.
see your cut. Anyway, we'll draw a line in the sand there. I could rant for hours about my distaste for how this came around, but we won't. We're going to try and talk about the product itself. Are we going to do a brief background on our view of the other two films that preceded this, or
Yeah, we can do. Man of Steel is fine, but a bad Superman film.
agrees? I
It
think it's
Stan, I'd still say while there's a lot. I think there's a lot to like in this version of Justice League. I still just fundamentally, Zack Snyder does not understand Superman.
no,
At,
no.
at, at his core, Snyder does not get Superman.
Superman. Snyder obviously wants Superman to be something very, very, very different to what Superman is.
Yes.
I think if you've watched any of our other material, you'll know that I'm not a big comic book reader, but the '78 Superman film is my favorite film, and I think that in my head, and I think in the consciousness of most people on the planet, like Christopher Reeve is what defines Clark and Superman. And I think obviously you can certainly veer off that, but the that version of Clark and Superman is now kind of like that benchmark, and then everything else kind of is a twist on it.
Yeah.
And
It's
this
interesting, and I
Superman
think
couldn't be further from.
in a desire to make. So there's always the notion that, oh, Superman is this infallible alien god. And
Mm,
that's what makes him boring. That's people who don't like
mm,
Superman. That tends to be the argument, right? That he's got all these
yeah,
powers. He's basically an alien that lords it above us. But Superman, at his core, is fallible. He is so utterly human.
Mm.
And I think in trying to make it, Superman isn't this all powerful being. Look how valuable it is. He's actually delivered Superman as an infallible alien god. Like
Oh, this
he's
is this
accidentally
is
somehow come in trying to make Superman not that,
yeah.
come full circle and given us a Superman that is exactly the kind of criticism people usually lay at Superman's feet,
Oh
but
yeah. I
evil.
mean, the Superman you see by the time that he's resurrected in this film is a Superman that is quite probably the most powerful, godlike Superman that we've ever seen, at least in cinema.
Yeah. So,
Um,
but yeah, Man of Steel.
mm,
It's a fine film. I don't think it's a bad film, but
no, I think it's a good to
I
at
mean,
times
bit of
great
history.
hard
We went to see
sci-fi.
that for my birthday, and it was one of my most
Sorry,
disappointing birthdays I've ever
I am
had. I
so I
think
am I am so sorry.
because those trailers showed us a Superman I recognised, and then the film gave us a Superman I did not.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to watch Zack Snyder doing Superman right, watch trailer 3 of Man of Steel,
Yeah.
and don't ever watch anything else that Zack Snyder does with Superman. Just watch trailer 3 of Man of
So
Steel.
next
Perfect.
up was Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice,
Yep.
which is a film I went
Yeah.
to a midnight showing of. I wasn't overly hopeful after Man of Steel, but I was like, you know what, second chances. Let's see where he goes with it.
Mm.
And I really do not like that film. Not
Yeah.
only does because I thought, okay, Zack Snyder doesn't get Superman, but Batman's a character he'll understand, right? No,
No.
and but I may correct that as we discuss this next
Yeah.
film. Dawn of Justice, yeah, not a film I like. It's bitter and cynical about these beings that should represent the best of us.
Mm.
That's the point of superheroes. If we're gonna make superheroes terrible, we could just turn on the news, like. And I'm not saying that superhero and entertainment shouldn't reflect reality,
Mm.
but I just feel the point of superheroes is these noble heroes we aspire to,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And there's room for dark deconstructions of that, but I'm not sure the dark deconstructions of that should be with, like, tell a story about a Superman style character.
Mm.
There's been plenty out there, to be fair, but I don't think we should do that with Superman. Like,
No, agreed. Agreed. I think even with Superman, though, I mean, there's room to go to normal dark places that,
yeah,
like, me and you could feel. Like, Superman, obviously, like a lot of superheroes, his journey, at least when Jonathan Kent dies anyway, does, which he doesn't always in every version of Superman, but, like, is it, there's a trigger of grief, and it's how the character deals with that grief.
it's
And
also,
grief
I think,
grief is the most horrible thing that anyone can go through.
I think it's important that it's a heart attack.
Yeah.
That it's a very human death. It's the other problem with Man of Steel. Jonathan Kent's death is,
Awful.
yeah.
Yeah.
But again, we're we're not big fans of previous
Yeah.
films. Would be the thing to take away
Yeah.
from this.
I think my biggest issue with the previous two films, and Man of Steel in particular, is not necessarily the fact that it isn't a Superman film, and it isn't necessarily the fact that, like, it's a bit dark and this, that, and the other. Because as you say, if it wasn't Superman, like, it would actually be a perfectly fine science fiction.
Yeah,
My issue really is that, like, on paper, these films have the finest cast of any Superman film and any Batman film, and probably ensemble cast of whatever
yeah,
that they could have got. And yet I feel even after all 3 films and 2 versions of this film, that they're wasted. Like, I feel so sorry for Henry Cavill because,
There is a
like,
good
I
Superman
mean,
buried in there somewhere, isn't there?
there's an incredible Superman,
But let
like,
we agree that there's a good cast there.
oh,
First
an
off,
incredible cast.
I'll say I was surprised at how much I actually enjoyed this film.
Mm,
I was very. It might have been that I went in with insanely
such
low
low, yeah.
expectations, but for the most part, I mean, it's too long. It's way too long. It doesn't
Oh,
need to be
it's
4 hours.
far too long. Yeah.
It's somehow 4 hours and doesn't do anything that the 2 hour cut didn't, other than flashbacks and a lot of slow motion. All
Oh, yeah. I
the
mean,
scenes are just longer. They're the same
yeah,
scenes almost, but longer.
yeah. I mean, I struggle to find for the first maybe 3 hours stuff that wasn't in the Justice League.
I
Like,
actually think, and this is going to sound weird,
mm,
it is a more hopeful representation of these characters than the theatrical cut.
I'll give you that, but I think that's
Because,
only because you get to see so much of them.
yes, but also I think
Mm,
there's something about this film that makes me think that maybe whether he should have plumbed to dark depths to begin with or not is a
yeah.
different kind of story.
Mm,
But there was parts of this film that I thought maybe he does get these characters and he wants to build them to that point, or at least for some other characters.
mm,
Like, Bruce is way more like Bruce in this film than
yeah.
he was in Batman vs Superman. He felt like Batman.
Mm,
Uh, Diana brutalizing a bunch of terrorists aside, she's quite a hopeful version of the character. While
although my understanding of Diana outside of the 70s TV series is that Wonder Woman is a bit more like willing to kill anyway.
in
Um,
bad comics, maybe
okay.
it
But
depends on the writer. A couple of modern interpretations do go like, "Oh, but she's a warrior, so she kills."
mm,
But I wouldn't say they're good versions of a character. I
mm,
mean, I think one of my favourite lines in Wonder Woman in the comic is, and I'm paraphrasing heavily here, is
yeah,
there's a bit where she's like, "You always offer a hand before you offer a
mm,
fist. You
yeah,
pacify before you wound. You
mm,
wound before you kill.
mm,
And killing is always and should always be a
the
last
final
resort. So if you
option.
can knock someone unconscious, you knock someone
Mm,
unconscious." So, like, point in perspective for Man of Steel, the neck snap at the end, that is a time where Wonder
mm,
Woman probably would kill.
yeah,
But when she can just as easily just punch all these terrorists out,
yeah,
that is most likely. And she's certainly not going to blow up an entire wall of a building under some innocent bystanders and police down below.
yeah, yeah.
But
I mean,
again, this is
mm,
getting into the reads of my view of what superheroes should be, and Snyder's are clearly very different things. And I think that's a nice scene in and of itself. It's a very good action scene.
I mean, the action wise, the actual fight itself and the choreography and the cinematography and the way that they work together made Wonder Woman 84 look like a high school project.
I won't go that
Because
far, but Wonder Woman 84 just needed stronger editing.
I thought the action scenes in Wonder Woman 84 were terrible.
Like, I love the mall scene.
I hate the mall scene. Absolutely hate
Why?
it.
That's weird because it's a kind of action scene you would have got in your favourite Superman film. It's like,
No, it isn't.
It is,
It
though,
isn't.
because that is
Because,
exactly
no,
Wonder Woman
because
84.
he wouldn't have toyed with them. She could have literally done that scene, and I think I mean again, I mean we're going to mention how bloated this film is. Wonder Woman 84 suffers from being bloated as well.
Wonder Woman
And
84
like
is a slavish love letter to Superman 76,
78.
78.
And I'm not sure it is because
It is.
no, I think it's a love letter to Superman 3.
Well, no,
Yeah, take that for what it is.
it's been stated from the start that that thing was meant to be a love letter to Donner's Superman.
I think it might have started
How
that way.
successful it is as that is a different matter, but
Yeah, all right. The intention is that it's a love letter to Donna Superman.
also
The fact
Donner's
is,
Superman is incredibly bloated. But that's
no, it's perfect.
it's not.
No,
It's perfect for 78.
it's perfect. Yeah, it is perfect for 78. It has aged. I don't think it's bloated. I don't think
It's
that there
bloated
is
away that a
a.
lot of films of that era are if you're used to a modern pacing.
If you're used to a modern pacing, yeah, but then the thing is that like if
The
you,
truth is,
I
we've
mean,
never had a great Superman film that represents
it's,
Superman as he should be. That's the closest. Donner's Superman
mm,
is the closest.
mm,
But the hope would be a Winter Soldier for Superman.
I get you. Yeah, yeah.
Something a bit more in the modern
Mm.
stylings, but that gets Superman for what he
Yeah, and
should
I
be.
think that like I think the other thing obviously that the reason you might think that Superman was a touch bloated in 78 was obviously that this was the first proper cinematic outing. It wasn't technically the first cinematic outing because the very first filmed version was a serialized cinema
And it's
series.
worth
But
noting why I,
um,
while I hold no truck with online bullies,
mm,
if you enjoy these films and you
mm,
think they're good representations of a character, why I fundamentally disagree. I unironically love the Schumacher Batman films, so I can't really talk. Like,
but I think the thing is that like Batman and Robin in particular, which I think is like um, a a film that gets a slightly too bad of a rap
it is a
for what
bad
it
film,
is.
though.
It is a bad film, but it
And
almost knows it's a bad
but
film. I
I
think,
I do love that film unironically.
mm,
Like, I prefer Forever,
yeah,
but I love both.
yeah, I think
And
Forever's
I
better.
recently rewatched Returns and discovered that I actually love I thought I hated Batman Returns. No, I actually love Batman Returns.
Mm. I mean, I think that like the thing is that the Schumacher films in particular, they know they're a bit of campy fun. Like
Yeah,
Schumacher was not trying to make a masterpiece. Schumacher was trying to make some fun, and Schumacher also realised that as much as the Burton films were grim and dark and moody,
oh,
they were grim, dark, and moody, like riffs on the '66 TV series,
yeah.
as opposed to it
But
being,
again,
yeah,
we're talking about
we're
other
talking about
films.
other,
We should be
yeah,
talking about. Yeah, it's long.
it's very long.
Um,
Oddly enough, until the epilogue, it didn't feel 4 hours.
no,
It
I
felt,
watched it in two parts, and both about 2.5 hours and about an hour and a half. I mean, it's not 4 hours; it's
yeah,
350 including credits, but it's
yeah.
close enough.
Mm.
But yeah,
I think it's 4 hours and 2 minutes if you watch it at the cinema because of the frame rate
yeah,
difference. Yeah.
I
Um.
I enjoy it a lot up until Superman shows up.
Yep.
There are moments once Superman shows up that I think are good. There are moments in that I don't actually mind the fight with Justice League. It kind of makes sense, like how he's back, he's disoriented. I think I kind of would, as weird as it sounds, because of the weird place Lois is. It like Lois Lane does not feel like Lois Lane in this.
Lois Lane has not felt like Lois Lane in this entire franchise.
No, she
Which
hasn't.
is another thing that, like, going back to my perfect cast but
Yeah,
terribly badly used. They might as well have
like
got a piece of cardboard and put a ginger wig on.
there's just no
Like,
Lois who hides in her apartment and doesn't leave. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's so many. As much as I enjoyed it to a certain extent, there's so many little holes, and there's so many. Well, sometimes they're
it's
gaping holes as well. Like,
consistently it's a better film than the theatrical cut. It's a more consistent film than the theatrical cut.
yeah,
It is too long,
significantly.
but I think I think objectively it is better than the theatrical cut. Because the theatrical cut is awful.
You see, I left the theatrical cut, and I think it's potentially purely because of the last scene in the theatrical cut.
I think I remember leaving theatrical. I think that was just solely because there's a little bit of a through line of, but it's not a good film.
No, I know.
It was wanting something that wasn't. I think the reason some of us came out of that theatrical cut enjoying it was because we didn't want the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
That said, the Snyder cut is a better film. And I've heard the super long. I've never watched it, and I never have any desire to watch it. But at least as structurally, I've heard the super long version of Batman vs Superman solves. Oh, I'm out of focus a bit. I've heard the super long version of Batman vs Superman solves a lot of that film's problems in its construction.
But I have literally no wish to watch it.
I'm never going to watch it. But again, I think judging it as like, this is a story Snyder wanted to tell. Why it's not a story I inherently want to participate in. I don't think they're bad. As in a bad take on Superman doesn't inherently make a bad film. It just makes a film I have no real interest in watching. Like, as much as I enjoyed this Justice League, and I did, for the most part, there's lots in this film I'd like, and I didn't think I'd be saying that.
There's technical elements I like in this.
I know we disagree on this, but I like the Cyborg through line. I think, especially...
I like the Cyborg through line. I do think Ray Fisher is as wooden as it can get. I
think that's what Snyder wanted.
I know. I do think that's what Snyder wanted.
I think Snyder's almost telling with. It's weird. Snyder is telling with Cyborg the story I think he wanted to tell with Superman, but got too obsessed with making Superman the villain.
Yeah,
this.
It does very much feel like
person who feels alien and then finds his place in humanity.
Yeah,
like when he speaks. When the mother boxes try and trick him into thinking he's the parents at the end, and he's like, I'm not alone, I have friends, I have a world to protect. Yeah. It feels like, wait a minute, is this the Superman story he wanted to tell, but then just got way too obsessed with Superman being bad?
And he got his huge 9/11 boner and decided to destroy some buildings.
Because the moral of this film is still it was wrong to bring Superman back. Because it didn't have to be 2 scenes removed, and it's not that. Superman returning is a good thing. But Cyborg's vision before they return him, and
Batman's
obviously
vision
the epilogues
the epilogue,
show us that bringing Superman back is bad. I don't mind the black suit. It's a play on his return from death suit in the comics.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see him with a blue and red suit at the end.
To be honest, it looked all right.
Yeah.
I fully expected it to just be, oh, Jesus, more misery. But I think because actually it was monochrome, it was actually slightly more colourful than Snyder's red and blue suit in an odd way.
The Bruce Alfred dynamic is great.
Yeah, again, it's another if this was a good if this was a good film, or a good series of films, that would have been an incredible pairing of Batfleck and Alfred.
I'm left thinking I did the fight when Superman comes back and he's disoriented and they're all fighting him. I was going to say I would have had it be Bruce that actually talks him down, but I guess they haven't really got enough of a dynamic.
No, they don't.
Each other
that's the other problem that I obviously Warner and Snyder deliberately have gone at this from the complete opposite angle of Marvel.
Yeah.
and decided, let's make the ensemble film first, and then we'll have the individual films afterwards. Which obviously that does mean that, especially as he's gone for an old Bruce, because like you you'd guess that Bruce is 45 to
Yeah.
50 ish. So like, especially as he's gone for an old Bruce, like Clark and Bruce have not had this time to become friends at this point. Like, which, like, I mean, obviously, me and you have a running joke in our like private discussions that, like, you know, they have gaming nights and movie nights and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff to get. And Bruce is like, you know, completely reluctant to all of it, although secretly enjoying it. But like, the two of Bruce and Clark are most certainly very good friends, whether Superman and Batman are slightly at odds with each other in the way that they go around
Well,
things.
in the comics,
And
I
I
would
think
say
that,
Clark is Bruce's best
yeah,
friend.
yeah. So, like, obviously, that would have been beautiful to have seen in this film, and as you say, to have had Bruce talking Clark down. But the problem is that, like, at this point, all they've bonded over is the fact that both their mothers are called Martha.
Yeah.
Like they
Like,
have nothing in common except for their mother.
so that Superman fight, though, I really liked. And I know it's in both cuts, technically, but I just felt it more in this cut.
The head turn, yeah.
Yeah, for seeing Clark interact with slow motion. Like, Barry's still clearly faster,
Yeah,
but Clark is fast enough.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah, like, because Barry's still kind of weaving between Clark's punches, because to him, Clark's punches are still slow mo, but they're not frozen like most things are
yeah,
to Barry, right?
yeah.
Like,
Speaking of
it's.
which, I'm going to put this sausage in your mouth.
I kind of like seeing him save Iris, but I don't like Ezra Miller's Barry Allen. It's not like any Barry Allen I've ever. It's not Barry Allen. It's a Flash. Like, he runs fast, but it's.
Yeah, because
Although
it
the
felt
scenes
like,
with his dad are quite nice.
I liked it when there was a theory that that was Dr. Manhattan in disguise.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, if Snyder does get to make his two sequels, and obviously Snyder being Snyder, he'll probably manage to destroy the entire universe doing that.
Well, the DC
Like,
nerd in me has figured out a reason why. I know how I would keep all this cast, but kind of. I'd have Superman destroy this world.
yeah,
And Darkseid win.
yeah,
But then I'd have the real Justice, same cast, but I'd have the real Justice League show up.
yeah,
And my thought, because they say that anti-life is found on Earth in this.
yeah. But it is the Justice League is the anti-life equation.
Well, no, but I'd say that this Earth has already been infected by the anti-life, and that's why it's so dark and miserable.
Yeah.
And that
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just one of the many
Yeah, yeah,
Earths. Because I even got the hint that it's something I never. The line is in the other cut as well, but I didn't pick it up there. When Steppenwolf says this world has no lantern, has no Kryptonian. I get the implication that it's not multiple planets in the universe he's invading.
yeah.
It's multiple Earths he's invading.
To try and
Because it makes sense for other planets to have lanterns, because, you know, they're an intergalactic police force. But it doesn't really make sense for other planets to have Kryptonians just hanging out on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got the implication
'cause
that it is multiple Earths they are invading.
Because in theory, that like Superman's powers, they're not only on this planet, but they are potentially at their strongest on Earth.
Well, anywhere
And
there's a yellow
therefore-
sun.
Yeah, anywhere there's a yellow sun. Yeah. So like, yeah, in theory, a Kryptonian in other parts of the universe is completely like it doesn't matter.
So yeah, so this Earth, because it has the anti-life equation on it, is the rotten Earth.
The one that needs killing.
Well, not needs killing, but
Yeah, just allowing to come to its natural end.
I like I think
Galactic
it's a better
fertilizer.
final fight. Steppenwolf actually looked better. He's still a giant sharp CGI monstrosity, but he does look better. Although there's some
And
wonky CG elsewhere.
although it actually has some character
I heard
as
someone,
well,
yeah,
which is nice. Yeah,
I heard
like
someone say that the
if
reason
anything,
they think they
Steppenwolf
kept it
was
in the
the
4:3 IMAX format was because it'd be cheaper to do special effects for.
oh,
Apparently, it's easier to create special effects in that frame than it is in a.
how weird. Interesting.
But
Although I don't know whether it was a fake quote or not, but when I posted on social media that I'd watched the film, my uncle put a quote in the comments that he'd read from Snyder in a
yeah, that was
an interview.
definitely your uncle telling a joke.
I hope it was.
It was
Yeah.
written in the exact format your uncle tells jokes.
I know it was, and that was why. But the thing was, it was something that I could imagine Snyder also saying. It was so close to like that.
I'm pretty sure that was a joke.
I hope it was a joke. I'll tell you the joke anyway. The joke was that in this interview, Snyder had said that the reason that he'd gone for 4-3 is because that superheroes usually are standing up, and that other than Superman, who occasionally flies sideways, that's how you see superheroes standing up and proud and what have you. So he wanted 4-3, so that but at the same time,
I don't actually mind that as a rationale. To be fair,
I could,
it's
I
not
could
wrong.
see. I mean, it's not wrong. And when you think about it, when Superman flies in this film, he's always vertical. And then he comes and he's coming down. He never flies sideways in this film. So maybe
I did really like that scene when he goes to the fortress and you hear both fathers talking in his head.
I did, but I mean,
also, though, the words that
it's a
Jonathan
trick.
Kent are saying are not the words of a man who allowed himself to die because he was paranoid people wouldn't like his son. Because the words like, oh, go and protect these people, go and this world needs you, while the whole through line of his parents have been, you shouldn't help the world for the previous films.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that, yeah.
But it worked. I liked it. I liked hearing them both. Yeah. I think it worked. They clearly didn't get Thingy back, so the implication is that those are a bunch of lines they recorded for Man of Steel. So why weren't they in Man of Steel?
Although it's an easy trick. I mean, we've mentioned trailer 3. I'll mention the teaser trailer for Superman Returns in 2006. That has the same feel by using Jor-El's words from the original Superman.
The final fight. I really like not having. This sounds remove it. Not the family was a bad decision. That final fight actually works a lot better without them saving the family, driving away from. It does have a more epic world-ending feel that they're saving the entire Earth as opposed to when Barry has to go faster than the speed of light. It feels grander that they're saving everything. And you feel that they're saving everything. It was a better kind of...
I sort of do. I think, couple issues with the location, for starters. There is no way it would have taken that long for them to have found Steppenwolf's base. Yes, it's in Chernobyl, but this was a very America has things, rest of world doesn't.
But that that's kind of like a how do you light a fire kind of.
No, well, I mean, the thing is that
it takes people time to find bases because it needs to take people time to find bases.
But I mean, there's literally it's a tourist destination. You can go into Chernobyl on a daily basis, and so someone would have seen.
Yeah, someone would have seen a giant ball, but the cultural perception of Chernobyl, at least, is that it is a
American racist cultural perception, and that's the thing.
I wouldn't even say it's only an American perception, though.
No, I mean,
The
I suffered like deliberately because I sort of like really guiltily enjoyed it, but I suffered through oh god, TV series. Can't remember what it was called now. Some awful American TV series about some based on the true
I
story
mean,
of
yeah, America does have that whole.
like Irish super genius, and like the when they went to other countries, the way that it was represented, and I mean, this was a modern TV series. This like the last season finished in 2019.
Well,
Um,
that's American entertainment for
like
you, though.
oh yeah, I know, and I think that was one of the things that soured me to this. It was
And
very
you're
much
right in the
like
fact that that is something that should be.
the Ukraine, they're in the dark ages.
And you're right that that's something that should be criticised and called up when America does stuff like that.
Mm,
But I feel like unless we're going to be criticising every American film we watch, and we watch a lot for
mm.
it, we're being slightly hypocritical in criticising it
Oh, I mean, the
here.
thing is, I will. I will criticize it when it's that like it's not even xenophobic. It's just like
It's
you
American
know very
exceptionalism.
it is it's American exceptionalism. Like oh, America great, everyone else is in bin. Like you
But
know, and
then you
it
love
was
24,
just
and that's one of the biggest proponents of it.
oh yeah I know
Like, my point is,
yeah
like,
mm,
we can't, it should be criticised,
yeah.
but we need to be aware that
But
there's
then
plenty of things we praise that do it as
mm,
well. Like,
but then I also haven't watched 24 in over a decade. And
it,
I'm sure that when I do watch it again, I will criticize the crap out of it.
I
But
mean,
like,
it's unique,
it's
it's not uniquely Snyder.
no, it isn't uniquely Snyder, but it's also something that we shouldn't allow to be gotten away with. Anyway,
Oh, yeah,
the
it is something that and
mm,
I say American entertainment, we have our own problems with similar.
oh, we do, we certainly do.
Yeah.
But I think that like
I mean, British
we're more.
exceptionalism is exactly what's landed us in the exact state of affairs we're currently sitting in. So,
Oh, it is, yeah. But with us, it's a different kind of snobbery. I think with us, it's like you just don't drink tea.
no, we
Whereas,
don't. We
like,
shouldn't
I mean, at
jokingly
least
wave aside our own culpability
no, we don't.
in
No.
things.
Um,
But
but
yeah, they beat the
what was?
back on track. They beat the bad guy. They get
Yeah.
the nice rise above the damn shot of them all like, we're heroes. And then we go into the epilogues. And I'm going to have to pace us up a little bit because I'm on a hard out today.
Cool. Before we get there, just very quickly, I didn't realize until after the film when we were thinking about it. The one thing that's missing in this one that I noticed in the theatrical cut was that you see more mourning in the theatrical cut from the planet as a whole for
Yes.
Superman, whereas in this one, it's very much the only mourning is from the Justice League, and it's only really that I mean, obviously you see Lois,
Yeah.
and then you see fake Martha,
Yeah.
which was a lovely scene that was then ruined by the fact that it wasn't really Martha.
Yeah, I'd
but-
like the planting of Martian Manhunter, but that's a weird way to do it.
Yeah, like, and I want so it felt very much again it diminished Superman a bit because it was like Justice League only wanted Superman back because they realized that they couldn't beat Steppenwolf without Superman, and the
Well,
world
no,
didn't seem
That's
to
not
want
entirely
Superman
it.
back.
Bruce wants him back because of his own sins.
His
as
own-
in,
his own guilt.
yeah.
But
There's more to
It
it
was-
than they want him back to beat Steppenwolf, but you're right,
that,
there isn't. Although I think that suits. That feels right in regards to the trilogy.
I mean,
In the fact that,
yeah.
because in the theatrical cut, all that worldwide mourning feels like, where the hell has this come from? No one liked him like 2 minutes ago.
But then at the same time, it was like
It
there were
didn't-
multiple cameras trained on him, and he essentially sacrificed himself to take down
But
Doomsday.
it wasn't
So
earned in the theatrical cut, as in it. But it's why a lot of that hopeful stuff in the theatrical cut jars, because it doesn't make sense in regards to the rest of the films. Should I say this is at least more tonally consistent with?
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, other than that, plenty of other plot holes, but for another time, maybe,
Yeah.
probably not. Loads of other plot
Yeah,
holes.
the
to be honest.
epilogues. Oh god. Well, the first epilogue is actually very nice.
Yeah,
where
that's
we're
all
cutting
right. Yeah.
through all the different heroes.
Mm.
Barry's now at the crime scene lab, and
Yeah, I mean, if anything, as far as like Snyder can create hope and a smile,
it's fair, I
this is
think.
this is the closest
It,
you will ever
if
get
it
to
ends
Snyder
after this
warming
epilogue,
your cockles. Yeah,
let's think, if it ends after this epilogue, it's
yeah,
a nice, hopeful story about how the Justice League forms and becomes better.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, if anything, if it ends after that epilogue, it might
you
tip
could
the
even
film
skip
into
straight to the epilogue of Bruce waking
yeah,
up and giving us a cameo of Martian Manhunter.
yeah.
But instead,
But
and instead we get two more epilogues. The one that was in
mm,
the theatrical cut,
mm,
which is uh, Deathstroke rocking up to Luther's boat.
mm. Which fair enough
Yeah.
sets up the planned Batman film, which I
Yes.
don't have an issue with. Like,
And
I mean,
then
in the Marvel sense, it would have been a post credit scene,
then we
and I would
have
have been quite happy with that.
the other epilogue. I mean, we know Diana's dead at this point because we've seen her funeral
Mm,
pyre.
yep.
And you have a Justice League consisting of Batman,
Mm,
Cyborg,
mm-hmm,
Flash,
mm,
Mera,
yep.
Deathstroke,
Mm-hmm.
and Joker.
Yeah, and again, bad writing in this, in that this whole scene is Joker going, "I want to be part of the Justice League," and then all of that comes to an end with Cyborg going, "Do you regret inviting him?"
No, it's Deathstroke who says that.
Or Deathstroke saying, "Do you regret inviting him?" Like, Joker spends 4 or 5 minutes convincing Bruce that he can be trusted,
But Bruce has already invited him.
but Bruce has already
But yeah,
invited him to the party.
I mean, I think. Is he kind of adapting the Injustice storyline where Joker's killed pregnant Lois?
It looks like it, maybe.
And it makes Superman decide, you know what? I'm going to join Darkseid.
Yeah. Which again works with your idea that this is one of many multiverse, and it just
Yeah,
happens that, like,
this is the broken
actually,
one.
yeah, that maybe the anti-life equation isn't necessarily an instant thing. That potentially it could just be a dark
But,
seed
yeah,
that slowly grows and blossoms.
I saw someone say comic writer Dan Slott said on Twitter that he doesn't think Batman should ever drop an F-bomb.
Mm.
And I think I kind of agree after this. Like, it
I
just
don't have a
feels
problem.
wrong. It's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. It's like, it just... We're back in the... Oh, wait, this is Snyder's... This is how Snyder actually view these... It's a moment where you're like, he's done the they get good just to get us back to... It's not
Yeah,
they're bad and he's going to build them into being heroes.
good.
It's
Yeah,
he's going to build them into being heroes so he can make them bad again.
yeah.
Again, like remove this epilogue, and I probably would have enjoyed. Well, no, because I know we're not getting whatever comes next, so the epilogue isn't that big of an issue to me.
Well, saying that,
Warner have come out and
I
said it's not happening, and Snyder has as well. They both last night said the Snyderverse is over. This was the last hurrah.
I don't believe it. If
They're not
if
going to
HBO
throw,
Max,
considering how much the previous films made, they're not going to throw millions at another Justice League film. I just don't
no,
see
but I mean,
it.
if you, I don't think
You
it'd be a
also
film.
ain't getting Affleck
I
back
think
for it.
I think it would be an HBO Max.
But you're going to have to
like
recast because there's certain
TV
members of the
series,
cast you won't get back.
but I think you
Like,
could, I
there's at
think
least two
potentially
cast
it's
members they'd have to recast.
either that or we get this,
No, three. There's three. They'd have to recast Cyborg. They will have to recast Bruce, and they'd probably have to potentially recast Flash. And they're
well, I mean, I think yeah, because I think they're going to let him contractually finish his film and then go bye bye you woman beater.
yeah.
So like
Ray Fisher is on record as saying, as long as Hamada is the head of Warner, he will never work for Warner again. And Affleck has no desire to return to Batman. So,
which is a shame, because I think the combination of Batman and Bruce, there is the seed there with Affleck to be the best.
He was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that epilogue is just awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get the
no, I mean, it's not, James. It's the greatest Batman and Joker scene ever put to film.
Oh, God.
So, as we've been told.
But
anyway, let's
moving
review
on.
Let's give it a score. Because
I letterbox review things. So I've started keeping a letterbox diary and scoring what I watch. I ended up giving it 2.
Yeah.
I think you're right. In fact, I might deserve a 3, but I just gave it a 2.
I'm giving it a 3.
I mean, if it's any consolation, I'd probably give a theatrical cut a 1 in retrospect. So,
you see, I'd give the theatrical cut a 2.5. Like, it is bad, but I quite like. I think.
Oh wait, no, I gave it a 2.5. I gave this 2.5, not 3. I've introduced half points again into my scoring. For this film, because I didn't want to give it a 3, but I thought 2 was too harsh. So
see, I want to give this a 3 because on our scale, that is the perfect cold light of day scale with the score. This is as completely averagely down the middle as cold light of day, because I did appreciate certain elements of the craft of this film, and for a 4-hour film by one of my least favourite directors, this was not as painful as I expected it to be.
Knowing full well that Warner would never have let him release a 4-hour cut in the cinemas, a theatrical cut of this film, I think, might have actually have been...
Even a 3-hour, like a
theatrical cut of this film might have had a lot more hints at the post-apocalyptic future. Because he's cut this knowing full well he's probably not going to be making anymore. So that might lead to the hopeful feeling, because he wants it to be a close as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I think that's ultimately my takeaway. It was fine.
I think that's why it deserves a 3. I think that's why it deserves to be on par with The Cold Light of Day.
I mean,
because like in a month's time, I'm going to remember so little of this film.
Fine is better than I was expecting, though.
But I think sometimes fine is the worst that you can give something.
Well, I know but fine is better. I was expecting to be miserable for 4 hours, and I wasn't. So,
I mean, I think we've said it before.
I was pleasantly surprised by the thing.
Snyder can be a very, very good filmmaker, but he obviously needs an incredibly tight and short leash on him.
I mean,
if you had a producer that could control him.
Well, he has his Netflix film out soon, doesn't he?
Yeah, the zombie one.
Yeah.
I mean, then there's something there. Like, I mean, you go back and you watch his Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah.
Which obviously, written by James Gunn, is wonderful, absolutely wonderful, almost a perfect zombie film. And I think that's one of the things that grates me the most with his PC
I'm never going to watch it again, but I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Same. Yes.
And Birds of Prey remains the best film from the modern DC films.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's fantastic. Birds of Prey is amazing.
Birds
of Prey is what happens. So I'm going to say something now, because obviously Warner's big thing now is hiring someone and getting out of the way, I think, for the DC films.
Yeah.
And
I'm fine with that.
I can't say, because on the same note, yeah, I can say it's fine, get out of Snyder's way. But I still hope that Snyder doesn't really fundamentally understand these characters.
No.
Birds of Prey is what happens. Like, some choices aside, but I get why those decisions were made. There's a character in there that you may as well have called made a new character for because they're nothing like their original character. But I
Yeah.
think they're the right character for the film they're telling.
Mm.
But you could have called them something else.
Mm.
Everyone else in there is a nigh on perfect representation of their character with some creative license. But Birds of Prey is an example of what happens when you have a creative team who gets it and you get out of their way.
Yeah.
Robbie and Jan on that have delivered the perfect Harley Quinn film. Like,
I still need to see it. So for me, obviously, it doesn't.
you will probably take less. I think you will enjoy it less than me.
It looked very much like Tank Girl to me, and I know Robbie is trying to do a Tank Girl film, which I don't have an issue with. Obviously,
it's very.
I quite enjoy the Laurie Petty.
Like Robbie shows her skills as a producer on that film because again they got out of the way and let her
do what she wanted to.
Yeah, so
she
found the talent in Kathy Yan, and it's like not a film Warner's higher up, not a director Warner's higher ups would have hired, but 100% a great director who was right for the.
But then Margot Robbie at the time was absolute money. So, I mean...
Even now, I think when it comes to Harley on film, everything has to go through Margot, I think. It's why I'm...
Which good.
It's why I'm quite looking forward to Gunn's Suicide Squad. Because Harley Quinn is one of my favourite comic characters. And I was not a fan of Suicide Squad, although Margot Robbie's performance is excellent. Harley is a better character removed from the Joker obsession. Harley as a character has developed and moved past that.
You see, I preferred Suicide Squad to definitely to Batman vs Superman because it came out the same year.
It's a slightly better version of terrible. I see A is trying to gear up the fan base to get his. You
see, I wouldn't mind seeing
released.
It. I'd be interested to see what it was.
Again, for the same reasons we said at the start, not for these reasons.
No, not for these reasons. I think
A is deliberate. Like, I don't inherently think Snyder geared up his fan base.
He didn't, but he certainly allowed them to do what.
Yes, but he wasn't there.
And it was only in the last 10 days as he renounced some of the bad stuff.
He didn't denounce him, but I will also give credit, he probably had more on his mind than denouncing rabid fans.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he probably did have, yeah.
Ayer is deliberately trying to whip the Snyder fan base up.
Yeah.
Like DC's his tweet the other day where Warner was like, there won't be an Ayer Suicide Squad cut, and he just tweeted back, why? Ayer is deliberately trying to weaponize the toxicity of that fan base, which makes me even less wanting to see an Ayer cut.
I mean,
Snyder benefited from I don't know if he really benefited. By all accounts, he wasn't paid for this edit. It's just what he was paid for his original time on the film, I believe.
He might not have financially benefited from it, but he definitely benefited from it.
Yeah, but in
a personal sense.
I'm more I don't inherently blame Snyder himself for the Snyder fan base, or at least.
No.
And again, we don't want to tell everyone the worst parts of that.
The worst,
fan base. It's like saying the Star Wars fan base is awful.
Unfortunately, it's the most vocal part, as it always is.
Yeah.
The negative is always the loudest. It's like on TripAdvisor.
We're dwelling, and we need to wrap up. We've nearly hit an hour, and we're planning to be half an hour.
My favorite DC so far, I think, probably Shazam.
Yeah, definitely watch one. Watch Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah. With Aquaman second.
Birds of Prey might even be an interesting palate cleanser from this.
Yeah. Anyway.
On that note, we shall see you all soon.
Yes, we will.
Back for our regularly scheduled back to our regularly scheduled viewing next week.
Yes, it'll be possibly this week, but later on.
Yeah.
Depends on if I get time to edit it. If I do, we'll see you in Norway this week. If I don't, we'll see you in Norway next week.
See you
Thank
then.
you very much.
Bye.